Hi, and welcome to another segment of Our Ventura TV. Today's topic is the elements of humor, and our guest expert today is humorist Richard Stewart. Welcome, Richard.
How are you, George?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Good to be here.
So let's get a little background about your career as a humorist.
Well, let's see. I was in a comedy group for about 10 years called LaughWorks, and we did sketch comedy, and I did a lot of the writing, and so that sort of qualifies me a little bit for humor because we would come to the readings, and I tell you, and you put out your sample and it reads it, and if there's silence, it is not humor. So I got to where I could write stuff that make people laugh and it'd make the show. And Toastmasters. I was in Toastmasters, I still am, and that's where I really got hooked on humor. I was having fun just with the speeches, but one day they said, hey, the humorist speech contest is next week, and you should enter it. And what's this? And so anyway, I entered it and I won all the way up to district, and then I was just hooked, just making people laugh is fun.
You've actually won a lot of humor contests.
It's true. They have 3 district Toastmaster humorist contests, and they also have something called Tall Tales.
And that's where you're in the newspaper.
Yes, the Tall Tales, well, I won district level in the Tall Tales, and next morning, the LA Times had an article. It said, the biggest liar in Los Angeles is Richard Stewart. It ruined my reputation.
Yeah, geez.
But I don't know if that was good promotion or bad, but it was funny.
Yeah, it was cool. All right, well, let's get into the topic of today. We're talking about humor. So,
yeah.
First of all, is there a definition of humor?
Oh boy, humor. Well, yeah, humor's easy. That's the easy question. George, humor is what makes you laugh. The real question you should be asking is, what is laughter?
What is laughter?
I don't know.
Okay.
there it is. It's right there. That's laughter. Well, have you ever heard someone say, let me get on the laugh side of that?
Yeah.
That's your first clue. Or, hey, laugh it off. Laugh it off. Well, what is it you're laughing off? It's all energy. And stuff comes in, pain or tension, people naturally want to laugh it off, and that's all a good joke is. It sets something up, it sets the tension, or something's not right. It's illogical. We don't even like something illogical. High on the scale, if something's not right, we're like, wait a minute, that's not right. Finally, the punchline, and you get to laugh it off. Steve Martin wrote it's a great book called Born Standing Up. And he has the best definition of, actually, it's a definition of a standard stand-up comic joke. And he says it's simply set up, punchline, set up, punchline. It's that simple. Now, what's the setup, though? The setup is building up tension or something illogical, and then punchline, release. So it's a energy. When things has tension in it, or the setup, it's like you're adding energy to your mind, trying to figure this thing out. Wait a minute, that's not logical, and then the punchline releases that energy.
That makes sense, but can you sort of provide an example to highlight that concept?
Oh, well, let's see. Willie Nelson wrote a great book. He does a lot of road traveling, and Honey Rose Suckle, I think is the name of his touring bus. Anyway, On the Road with Willie. I love his humor. Being from Texas, of course, you have to like this guy. But he had the greatest joke. These are jokes he told on the bus with the guys. And one of my favorites is he tells about this lady who went into an insane asylum, or it's a psychiatric clinic, and she's a journalist. She thought, hey, I'll get a good story in here. I'll just go find somebody and talk to them. So he found this guy in a 3-piece suit, and she says, hey, could you tell me, would it be all right to interview one of the patients, because I'd like to just find out about their life and learn a little bit about them. And he goes, well, I'm a patient here. You are? Oh, I'm sorry. Wow, you look like the manager or supervisor. You look so great. You don't look like you belong here. He says, you're right. Thank you. I've been trying to get out of here. They won't let me out. And all I can do, I figure, well, as long as I'm here, I'm going to help people. So all I do all day long is help the other people. And I try to set a good example and show them how they should live their life. And oh my gosh, I'm going to do the story about you. This is fantastic. And so, I'd really like to interview you. And yeah, you can come back anytime. And this is going to be a great story. So, okay, I don't have time now, but I'm going to set it up, and I will come back and we'll have a talk. And so she goes to the door, opens the door, and says, I'll see you later. He picks up a Coke bottle and throws it, hits her right in the forehead. And she looks at him horrified. He goes, don't forget! Yikes! So the release, just a little bit of like, this is crazy illogical, and this guy's obviously insane.
Yeah.
But it's basically the build up and the release. The one I like the most, recently I just saw Steve Martin at the Hollywood Bowl, and the guy is great, just a great musician. Now he's doing the banjo tour, and between the songs, there's banter, and sometimes, he'll be funny, but sometimes he's serious, talking about it. So this was a between the song time, and he says, I've been playing the banjo for like over 30 years, but I've only been in a band for 5 years. And I have to be honest, sometimes we're good, but we're never bad. Sometimes maybe mediocre, but sometimes we're great. Then he says, but about a month ago, I saw Eric Clapton live, and I was watching him, and about halfway through the show, I thought to myself, he's not all that funny.
That is cool, yeah. And particularly with an audience where people are into music and they know who Eric Clapton is and God,
The Hollywood, they went nuts. They just loved it. And he's a master. He's a master.
Let me ask you something about humor as it relates to the arts in general. Because it seems to me that in speaking with all manner of artists, it's a more stressful one. Because if you're a painter, you put up lots of paintings. Some people will like some and some will not like others, all right? Yeah. If you're a dancer, if you're a sculptor, whatever it is that you're doing, you can have people like it or not like it, and yet there's not going to be it's not necessarily going to say bad things about it, but it's so clear that when you're a comic and if you go to a comedy show and someone's not doing well, it's like, the whole audience feels uncomfortable, and it's like, this makes it looks hard,
That's what they call in comedy. They call that death.
Yeah,
it is dead air, or it's just, the key is just to ride over it, just to keep going, keep going. But I remember in one of my Laughworks sketches, I have this sketch where I go out as a cowboy with a cowboy hat and a guitar, and I walk out on the stage, and it looks fairly normal. It doesn't look like a comedy sketch, and I just say, I'd like to sing you guys a song my grandfather taught me when I was real little, and it really means a lot to me. And it kind of goes like this. And I play a chord, and it goes. Libiamo, le ti che la bellezza i fiori. Everybody, So I've had a couple of times, and just speaking about laughter or does it work and not work, a couple of times people thought, well, is he serious or is he making fun? And I didn't get the laughs. And so it's about rejection. By the way, not to get philosophical, but I happen to be a Scientologist, and there's a lot of information about, I told you, laughter is energy. And when energy comes in, you release it. And L. Ron Hubbard defines laughter as rejection. And you think, well, rejection, laughter is rejection? Well, what are you rejecting? Well, it's the energy that comes in, the tension. That's all it is. You're laughing. You've heard it before. George, laugh it off. As a kid, just what are you laughing off? The pain or the situation that happened to you, and you want to get rid of it. And what's a problem sometimes, and this is life. Sometimes things happen, and you want to laugh it off, but you can't get rid of it. And that's what Dianetics is all about. They've just really figured out how to pinpoint the energy that's holding you down and release it.
Cool.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's seeing how it works. I was when I first got into Scientology, I was in Houston. This is kind of funny because you can imagine, I was at a flea market, and I was just excited. I was selling Dianetic books on a table there, and I put an e-meter. I don't know if you've seen that. It's got the registers energy. Speaking of energy, by holding these little cans, and this old farmer walks by. He goes, "What the hell is that?" I said, "Well, it's an e-meter. It registers mental energy. As you think, you can here, hold these cans, and I'll show it to you." He holds them, and I say, "Well, see this needle here? I'll set it, and all right, see how it's kind of floating. I'm going to give you a little pinch, and watch what happens to the needle." He looks at me. "You're going to give me a pinch?" I said, "Yeah, just watch the needle." So I pinched him. The needle goes bam. I said, "See? It shows a thought. It shows that energy." "Wow, that's pretty good." And I said, "Now watch this." And I had the needles on set, and I said, "Recall that pinch." Bam. And he said, "Wow." And here's the kicker. And I said, "Now you could think of any traumatic thing that happened in your life, and it'll show up right there on that meter." And I give him that setup, and I just shut up, and all of a sudden, bam, on the meter. And I said, "Like that right there." He goes, "Henry, come here. This thing's got my car wrecked, right?" Wow. So anyway, that's just to show that we get in energy, but you want to release it. And that's the beauty of humor and laughter. Who wouldn't want to help people to lighten up and get rid of all that, energy that's holding them down?
I love this whole analogy with laughter and energy.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me. I'm wondering if what's your position on whether a person can learn comedy or they're kind of naturally born as a comic? What's your thinking on that?
I think, speaking of energy, the people that hold on to energy, you'll find are there's like a scale. They are the lower tone people, or people that are solid. The angry people, or the people that are even lower than that, apathetic. That's hard to get humor. You want to raise people up in life, and so if you're already down and can't really raise yourself up, it's hard to raise somebody else up, because laughter and the energy of laughter is contagious. So I would say the people that are good at it is people that are higher on the scale of life, the scale of life of, if you would call death at the bottom of the scale, and then enthusiasm, exhilaration at the top. The people that are in the top level there are able to raise other people up. And it's kind of a complicated answer to that question.
But I guess if we were to simplify it, you might say that people who have a lot more life might have a tendency to be more humorous. Not that everyone who has a lot of life can be funny, but Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, more life, because if you have life, if you're feeling good, I mean, what do? You go out, you want to share it. You know, a good example is I saw a picture. It had two pictures. What was that? Oh, you've heard it. The life of the party.
Oh yeah.
And it shows everybody at the bar like this, and then all of a sudden this guy, hey, how's it going? You know, so he's got lots of life, and he shares it, and he tells jokes or whatever. So that would be the person I would want to listen to. Steve Martin, back to him, and Willie Nelson. You know, they're two people that just love life, and they want to share life, and I think it's a good quality.
Cool. Well, we're just about out of time here. I was wondering if there's any, I don't know, advice or hints you might give to someone who wants to include more humor in their life, or specifically to either write it for others to laugh, or to be able to tell jokes around their friends or family, whatever.
Oh, well, yeah. Keep a notebook. Keep a notebook, and if you have a thought, something you think's funny, just jot it down. And then when you have time, you can write some humor. Join Toastmasters, and then enter their humorous speech class. The cool thing about Toastmasters is you get to write it, so you have the joy of writing it. You get to deliver it, and see people laugh. And then you get the feedback, because they give you instant feedback in Toastmasters. So, yeah, keep a notebook. Friends, if you hear a good joke, write it down. Jokes are so easy to forget. People wonder, why do you forget jokes? Because you've released all the energy. It's gone. You've laughed it off. It's gone. So, yeah, my biggest tip would be to keep a journal.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, Richard.
Thank you. This was fun.
So this is George Alger signing off for another segment of Our Ventura TV. Until we meet again.